Hello and welcome to the first commentated video on this channel. I'm Jinjy, here to walk through a standard swords 1v1 in Halo 5 and talk a bit about how you can get better with the energy sword in this game. If you're someone who plays Castle Wars or some other swords focused custom game, these tips could help you improve your game immediately. Before we begin, I want to say that if this is something that interests you, if you're good at or just really enjoy fighting with energy swords in Halo 5 or any of the Halo games, stick around until the end of the video for more info on how to get involved and play in matches like the one we'll be seeing right now. Now, on to the gameplay and the tips I want to show you today. The match I'll be using was a friendly sparring session between me and a fighter from our channel's Discord server, Archangel. I'll be picking a few key exchanges from our fight to show you some key moves and strategies for using a sword in Halo 5. It's best to start with the basics. I'm going to play one pretty standard bout between me and Ark and talk about the most important things to know if you've never used a sword in this game before. First, I'll just play the bout unedited and uninterrupted. Alright, now let's break down some things to take note of. The very first thing to notice here is the distance that we're lunging at. This is because we're always, and I mean always, with rare exceptions, using Smart Scope. In Halo 5, Smart Scope significantly increases your lunge range with an energy sword, and the only downside to using it is that in most modes, using it disables your radar. That downside isn't even present in modes like Castle Wars, making this the single most important thing to know about using an energy sword in Halo 5. In case you're not sure what it means to be in Smart Scope, all you need to do is press your normal Scope In button, and this animation should play. If you see your hand in a fist like this, it means you're good to go. Your lunge range is now much longer than it would be otherwise. Moving on to tip number 2. Remember, you have thrusters in Halo 5. Use them. Because energy swords are a melee weapon, being able to juke people out with your thrusters is an extremely valuable skill to have. In the specific clash I have on screen, me and Ark happen to choose to thrust at the same time in opposite directions, which open up the distance between us. However, this is not usually how using a thruster plays out. Instead, it usually looks more like this. Notice that he's almost completely off my screen by the time he's done thrusting. If I'm not ready for this, and I promise you 95% of players out there won't be ready for this, he's got an easy kill right there on his next lunge. Now in our match, I managed to adjust properly and keep attacking, but this really isn't easy to do, and even players like me and Ark sometimes fail to do it if a thruster juke is executed cleanly enough. Now, tip number 3. Besides your thrusters, you have a whole range of things you can do to throw off your opponent. A tight strafe works wonders in these types of matches, but one of my personal favorite things to use smartly is a well-timed jump. Some sword fighters you see online like to jump around all over the place constantly. I don't necessarily recommend that, but knowing when to throw in a jump could give you the edge in a sword fight if the other guy isn't expecting it. Sometimes people in swords-focused game types become so used to moving their crosshairs side to side in order to pick up strafing opponents that when you throw in some verticality with a jump, they're completely unable to deflect you properly. So jumping is another great tool in your arsenal as you try to become better with a sword in this game. Finally, just to close things out with a bonus tip, knowing how trades work in this game will help you a lot tactically. In Halo 5, the rule is that on your 4th clash with your opponent, unless you two break off and give each other time to get your shields back, you will both die. It is up to you to use this knowledge to your advantage. If your enemy knows that they'll die on the 4th clash, sometimes they'll try to back off and force a shield regen. If you know what you're doing, you can still put pressure on them, maybe force out a sloppy miss, and then get the kill easily. Well, those are all the tips I have for today, guys. These are ultimately pretty basic, but they're also really important for someone who's not familiar with the mechanics of sword fighting in Halo 5. If you're someone who's at a more intermediate level, don't worry, I'll be making videos with more advanced moves and tricks in the future. And if you're someone who really enjoys this sort of thing, I invite you to get involved with the community. We have a Discord server of over 100 members, and we run 1v1 lobbies, private Castle Wars matches, monthly tournaments with $25 Xbox code prizes, and a few other things. In addition to these, we're working on a new website to store match histories, set up rankings, and list out cooler useful maps and game types for those interested, as well as put up text guides for those who want to learn how to get better in a more reading-based format. You can find our website link in the description below, and our Discord link on the homepage of the website. Good luck in your fights, guys, and I'll see you next time.